Yeah, so in the Time Hop coffee shop, we meet Greta. She's an actress in her mid 40s, I think. And 10 years ago, 10 years prior to the story, she was famous for starring in coffee commercials. And I've always been fascinated by what happens when people were really famous once and then that fame is taken away. And that's who she was, and it's compared to where she is now. So 10 years ago she was like famous, she was in these commercials, everybody thought she was the perfect wife, the perfect mother, she looked fantastic. She got invited to events to open stores, she got gifts, she got limousines, parties, and then it was just all taken away from her. And it was kind of then just exploring what happens when you've had that taste of fame and you've had that career in the public eye, when that's all gone and you've actually just got to then live a normal life, and how you adapt to that. And do you miss it? Like, do you, in Greta's case, she's trying to get those halcyon days back, and not managing it at all. She cannot even get jobs promoting the smallest thing, at the time. And there's some commentary in there as well, because her husband Jim used to star in the commercials alongside her, and actually he's doing quite well in his career still. As a man, he's still appealing to an audience, whereas Greta's really, really struggling job wise. And also, and that affects her confidence and her how she sees herself and what she wants to do next. She's just kind of stuck. So Maple Gold, in the UK, we used to have some commercials called Gold Blend. So the Gold Blend coffee commercials were quite popular. It was before social media. So a lot of people were kind of interested in this couple who starred in the Gold Blend commercials. And it was kind of, they almost had a romance on screen. It was almost like a sitcom, but in commercials. So I liked the name Gold. But then kind of thought about, it's just kind of more like an American brand, a brand that's popular in England and America. And I kind of like Maple Gold, and that the town, that the make believe town that she starred in the commercials, Mapleville. And as soon as I got the names and the brand of the coffee, I could almost picture the commercials. I kind of wanted her to go into a commercial, but the question was how. And so I thought a coffee shop. But then we thought, is that too much coffee going on here? She was in coffee commercials and there's coffee shop, but there's coffee shops in every corner. So I kind of went with it. And we've got this mysterious guardian of the coffee shop called Iris, who makes this perfect blend of coffee. Sometimes you can just picture things in your head. So when I write, I kind of tend to play things like a film in my head and then I write it down. So I kind of just sit there daydreaming quite a lot of the day sometimes. And I just pictured this coffee shop. I can picture it now, and it had this green painted woodwork, and there was a white rabbit ornament in the window. And it's got you go in the shop and it's got a wooden counter and jars along the back, and it's got booths and red fringe lights. So yeah, I could just picture it, and then it's just getting it down on the page. So Iris is the only worker in there, and she was quite fun because actually when you write a main character, the main character usually changes through the book. So they will start off in one place and then they will follow the journey arc to end up in a completely opposite place at the end. But I really enjoyed writing Iris because she does not change throughout the book. She has got rules and you are going to stick to those rules, and she is immovable. There's only one little crack in her armor towards the end of the book where she just gives a little bit away about her history and how she come to be in the coffee shop. But no, so she was great fun. She was completely unyielding. She is the gatekeeper, the guardian. She knows the recipes. She knows what people's perfect blends are, and she will mix that coffee for you. And she's got hundreds of jars, and she knows exactly what to give you. And then the coffee acted as a mechanism alongside a wish. And Iris has kind of got quite a few rules you've got to follow. And then you drink the coffee and you make your wish, and it takes you to your perfect life. And in this case, Greta's perfect life is those coffee commercials that she used to star in. And it sounds quite simple now, but it was actually a real nightmare to kind of get to that stage. I kind of disappeared down a rabbit hole of, is it time travel? Is it alternate universe? Is it parallel universe? And what are the different rules in those kind of different arenas? So for a while, took me quite some time to get my head around it because I'd never written magical realism before. I think my 7 previous novels, they've got elements of fairy tale storytelling in them, but I'd never written actual magical realism before. So it took quite a lot of, I've got a big pad and I used to sit down trying to work it out, doing flow charts, and kind of got there in the end. But she looks different. So she's the same age, but when she looks in the mirror, she appears how women would appear in a coffee commercial, airbrush, beautiful makeup, beautiful hair, beautiful clothes, like the perfect version of herself in the perfect town. So when she first arrives there, her only mission really is to explore and find out where she is, what's going on. And, when she steps out of the front door, she's like, wow, I'm actually in this town. I've starred in it when she starred in it back in the coffee commercials, it was like a set, just a film set. But now it's actually a living, breathing town, with people saying, good morning, ma'am, and white picket fences and beautiful grass and flowers and the sun shining. Everyone's polite, everyone's happy. The air smells of coffee. The food is free. If you go to the bakery, you get free donuts. So we're just kind of thinking, what would a perfect town look like to me? And the first thing is it would be warm because in England it's cold a lot. So I like being warm. So my first idea for the perfect town is it would be warm and people would be polite. And she's got free clothes in her wardrobe and she gets offered free food. And I kind of took it from there. She meets a character called Millie, who was lovely to write. And Millie is a product of the town. She's kind of lived there for a long time. And she's also kind of like a mirror image of Greta, so she is the woman that Greta wants to be. So when, she works in a beautiful boutique, when Greta goes to her house, Millie is the perfect hostess, with this absolute gorgeous house, the perfect husband, and she is the epitome of who Greta wants to be. I think for me, it was just the town itself, just the tiny details like cats and dogs being friends together, walking down the street, just little tiny details like that. And also there's a beautiful town hall with stained glass in it. So for me, it's always about those tiny little details of bringing something to life. And like you said, it's almost like buildings or places becoming characters in their own right. So I kind of just really enjoyed that world building itself.